Hey everyone, this is Sockfolder and I'm here to show you a new mineral boosting trick. Unfortunately, the original mineral boosting trick I had got fixed a couple patches ago, so it no longer works. But if you recall, that worked by spamming right click onto the mineral patch and C, like so, and it would eliminate the time that the drone is spent holding the minerals before returning it. So if you watch carefully, you'll see that it doesn't work anymore. The drone still waits before returning the minerals. So I had to find a new mineral boosting trick, and the new trick is slightly less effective than the original trick and a little harder to do, but on the other hand there still is nothing you really need to do in the beginning game, so you can still do it. And the way this new trick works is it eliminates the deceleration time of the drone as it approaches the minerals to mine. So if you watch carefully, you notice that the drone slightly decelerates as it approaches the minerals. So you can eliminate that by simply issuing a move command next to the minerals and then right click onto the mineral patch. So as you see, you move basically where the drone should be to mine and then onto the mineral patch. And you shift Q this after the drone is starting to return the minerals. Otherwise, if it's already mining, it'll just sort of juke around. And of course you can queue this up in the same way as the original mineral boosting trick by inserting a return cargo command between these two other commands. So it's right click next to the minerals, on the minerals, and return cargo, all while holding shift down to queue them up. And as I said, increases mining by about 4%. And just to show that this works, I'm going to get another drone near and have them sort of race off. So looks like the top drone is going to be a little bit faster, so what I'm going to do is accelerate the bottom drone until it matches up the speed of the top drone, just to show that it does actually work. So I'm doing the trick. And of course, unlike the original mineral boosting trick, this one does require a little bit of skill. You have to aim correctly next to the minerals, otherwise you could lose a little bit of the gain that you could get otherwise. So that makes it a little bit hard to do very quickly, which is probably the biggest factor that makes this trick less effective than the original. So it seems that the drone is already caught up to the top drone, so you basically can see that it works. And unfortunately, one weird thing about this trick is that the effectiveness of the trick depends very heavily on which mineral patch you mine. Some mineral patches you get about half a second improvement, some of them only like a tenth of a second improvement. And generally the farther away patches are easier. So now I'm going to give you a little bit of an idea of how this works. So if you notice that when a drone is issued a move command, it always slows down before it reaches the destination. I think it's because Blizzard programmed something so if a command will end up with the unit stopped, it'll slow down. However, if you queue something on to the end of the command, it'll keep going at full speed, so even if the queue is right on the same spot. So if you watch the drone carefully now, you see it doesn't slow down at all before reaching its destination. So you can compare just a regular command, it slows down. And if you queue, it goes at maximum speed. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you watch carefully in game, you'll notice. So I guess in theory, if you wanted the drone to move to a spot as fast as possible, you should always issue a single little queue at the end, just to make sure it keeps up its maximum speed. So one advantage of this trick is it does actually work on gas. So you can do the same thing on gas, and it'll increase the gas binding by a little bit. Of course, if you have 3 on it, then it won't do anything because it's already at saturation. So just to prove that this works, I'm going to get this drone to mine. And you see the original drone is a little bit behind the second drone. So what I'm going to do is mineral boost it until it catches up to the first. So you'll see that it's a little bit hard to do because you can't run into the other drone. Otherwise the mineral boosting will mess up. So you have to make sure to avoid clicking on that drone. And this is probably one of the biggest difficulties of doing this trick when you have multiple drones mining. So this one is definitely an early game only mining boost. Let's see, it seems like it's caught up now. So you see it does work. Not as effective as the original, as I said, but it's something. So that concludes the main part of the mineral boosting. I'm going to show a little bit of a bonus trick. Works in a different way to increase mining speed. And it's more for fun, but for Zerg it actually is probably somewhat viable to use. So I'm going to have these, or one of these, start mining. And I'm going to keep this one still, and you'll notice that when the other drone finishes mining, it does not interfere with the still drone. But if I put this still drone on patrol, you'll see that it'll bounce away the drone when it finishes mining. This is basically during the wait time that the original mineral boosting eliminated. So what you can do is you can try to position other units. Of course, using a drone is useless, but for example, zerglings, and try to bounce away the drone towards the hatchery, and it'll actually cut off a little bit of a mining time if you do it successfully. And so the advantage of this trick, even though it actually probably is a little bit less effective than the other way, is that it's totally automatic. And if you have units just back for defense, for example, instead of just having them, doing nothing, you can put them in your middle line and try to increase the mining speed. The most effective way I find to do this is to have them patrol across the face of the mineral patch. And I'll sort of bounce them, hopefully in the best direction possible, up to the hatchery. And the increase of speed of this is actually not just bouncing it towards the hatchery, it's also giving the drone acceleration for when it's done mining. So it eliminates the acceleration period. And if you do this perfectly, you can actually increase mining by even more than the original mineral boosting. Probably 10% or even more. Of course, if you just have it on patrol, you're not going to get that optimal bounce. But you can try to do it yourself. See, I'm trying to do it with this zergling. You have to learn the timing for mining if you want to do this trick optimally. And if you do it really well, you'll get a huge decrease in mining time by basically pushing the drone towards the hatchery. Of course, doing this yourself is sort of a waste of effort when you can just have a patrol and get most of the benefit. Especially since you can do normal mineral boosting if you wanted to spend the time. So that basically concludes this little bonus trick. And hopefully you find all these tricks interesting. And may your minerals be boosted and your stocks folded. Thanks for watching. Bye.